I'm Dr. Aisha Farooq, currently working as a neurology resident, postgraduate training year 4 at Aga Khan University. And today I'll be talking about stroke after COVID vaccination. So I'll be discussing the number of vaccines and the types of vaccines that have been approved for use by the WHO in Pakistan and the mechanism by which they cause stroke. And then I'll be discussing a few relevant case series and case reports. And then obviously we'll be sharing a case series that we published, that we sent for publication at our institute. Okay, so there is no ethical or financial conflicts of interest for this presentation. And I have cited the references at the end. So COVID is one of the deadliest pandemics of our times, as we're all aware, and it has affected billions of people worldwide and is still continuing to do so. So as the numbers continue to rise, vaccines are perhaps the best way to put an end to this outbreak, along with precautionary measures, of course. So talking about the figures, globally, around 6.8 billion doses of vaccines have been administered so far, and 37% of the population has been fully vaccinated. But when we talk about Pakistan, and this is basically of October 2021. So in Pakistan, around 17% of the population is fully vaccinated. The numbers are extremely low. So the Pakistan started its vaccine campaign in Feb 2021, and then 7 vaccines have been approved for use in by the World Health Organization. These include the mRNA vaccines, Moderna, Pfizer, BioNTech, the non-replicating viral vaccines, which include CanSino, Oxford, AstraZeneca, Sputnik, and then we have the inactivated vaccines, which include the Sinopharm, Sinovac. Sinopharm has an efficacy of around 79%, and Sinovac has an efficacy of around 67% as per the data. So there are other vaccines as well, like Janssen, Johnson & Johnson, and then we have Covishield, which is an Oxford AstraZeneca formulation. They are approved for use in other countries, but not yet in Pakistan. So this was a study that was published in the European Journal of Neurology in July 2021 that analyzed the cases of cerebral venous sinus thrombosis that were notified to the European Medicine Agency. So until April 2021. So this is basically an agency that institution that deals with the adverse effects of the drugs. So what they did was around 213 cases were notified to the European Medicine Agency of patients who had CVST post-vaccine, post-AstraZeneca and post-mRNA vaccines, basically. And out of the 213 cases, 187 cerebral venous sinus thrombosis cases were reported after AstraZeneca, 25 were after Pfizer, and 1 was reported after Moderna. And then they also compared this with a control group of 100 participants from the pre-COVID times. So if you see here, majority of the patients were females with an age group of 30 to 59 years. And an interesting thing to note is 107 out of 187 people in the AstraZeneca group had thrombocytopenia. Almost half of the participants, around 57%, while none in the mRNA group had thrombocytopenia. So 2 interesting things that the study concluded was, first, CVST was more frequently reported after AstraZeneca when compared to the mRNA vaccines. And secondly, the CVST after AstraZeneca was mostly associated with thrombocytopenia. Now, another thing that we notice is the mortality rate. Around 38% of the patients had died in the AstraZeneca group, while 20% mortalities were that this study tells us was mortality was higher in those patients who had thrombocytopenia post AstraZeneca vaccine. Okay, so this was another study and perhaps the first one that compared the characteristic features between the adenoviral vector vaccines, the AstraZeneca and the Janssen vaccine. And they found out that the D-dimer and APTT values were significantly lower in the Janssen group, but there was an increased likelihood of intracerebral hemorrhages. Well, the percentages were around 17 versus 58%. 17% patients in the AstraZeneca group had intracerebral hemorrhage, while 58% patients in the Janssen group developed intracerebral hemorrhage. So what we can also see is those people in the Janssen group presented a little later, 16 days, when compared to AstraZeneca. That was around 10 days. So this is a graphical representation of the reported cases of cerebral venous sinus thrombosis per million population. 39 in 1 million people with COVID can develop CVST, while the number of cases in the vaccinated population is quite low. So people who do contract COVID are around, if you see, 6 to 10 times more likely to experience CVST than those who are vaccinated. So again, like it says, a single dose of vaccine is still much better than receiving no vaccine. So coming to syndrome, it's also referred to as the vaccine-induced thrombotic thrombocytopenia. It's a rare and is presumed to be due to an immune response to platelet factor 4. So basically what happens is the vaccine produces an antibody, which is an IgG that recognizes the platelet factor 4, which is bound to the platelets. And this produces a complex that activates the platelets and also stimulates the clotting cascade, thus causing thrombotic events. And thrombocytopenia occurs because of platelet consumption. So this is similar to the concept of HIT, which is heparin-induced thrombotic thrombocytopenia. The only major difference between the two is in HIT, it's basically due to exposure to the heparin, but in vaccine-induced thrombotic thrombocytopenia, there is no exposure to the heparin, so it's not heparin dependent. And the treatment, so this is again reported after AstraZeneca, and a few cases have also been reported after the Janssen vaccine, but none after the mRNA vaccine. So the mechanism by which the mRNA vaccine causes stroke is still unknown. Now coming to the mechanism and the triggers of antibody formation. The mechanisms are again still not yet known properly, but a preliminary theory suggests the possibility that components of the vaccine, including virus, proteins, and free DNA, they bind to the platelet factor 4 and generate a new antigen. And they also cause a pancellular activation in which they activates the platelets along with neutrophils, monocytes, and endothelial cells. And all of these contributes to a higher thrombosis risk, thus increasing the propensity of arterial and venous thrombosis. So this has already been discussed. Okay, I just wanted to highlight an important point here. The HIT theory, it basically occurs 5 to 14 days following the administration of heparin, while the thrombotic thrombocytopenic syndrome after the vaccine, mainly AstraZeneca or Janssen, can occur within 30 days, so within a month. So patients can also present at day 30 of receiving the vaccination. The presentation and the clinical features are same in both, which includes the thrombosis and thrombocytopenia, mainly cerebral venous sinus thrombosis. In arterial thrombosis, they usually present with an MCA stroke. HIT antibodies are again detected in both with ELISA. And the treatment of thrombocytopenia and thrombotic syndrome is with non-heparin anticoagulation and IVIG. So what IVIG does is it binds to the platelet factor 4 and the platelet complex and causes inactivation of the clotting cascade. So this was a study that was published in the Journal of American Medical Association. And it basically evaluated the frequency of thrombocytopenia and platelet factor 4 heparin antibodies in patients with CVST prior to the COVID-19 pandemic. So they took around 865 patients with cerebral venous sinus thrombosis over a period of around 30 years. And they found out that baseline thrombocytopenia was present in around 8% of the patients, while heparin-induced thrombocytopenia was observed in 0.1% of the patients. And all of these patients tested negative for the platelet factor 4 heparin antibodies. So basically, if you find platelet factor 4 antibodies, they're only present in association with AstraZeneca-induced CVST. Coming to the treatment recommendation, World Health Organization advises against the use of heparin for individuals with TTS following vaccination with the COVID-19 vaccine, and also recommends against platelet infusion for individuals with TTS following vaccination, of course, except in emergency situations when the patient is bleeding and you have to rush him for surgery. So WHO also recommends the use of IVIG and non-heparin-based anticoagulants for individuals with TTS, like already discussed before. The only contraindication to an adenovirus vector-based COVID vaccine is a prior history of HIT or a major venous or arterial thrombosis occurring with thrombocytopenia. So if a patient has a prior history of stroke without thrombocytopenia, you can still vaccinate him. So this tells us the risk of death from a general anesthetic is 18 in a million. The risk of death from accidental poisoning is 55 in a million. The risk of death due to rock climbing is 3 in a million. So if you choose to get the AstraZeneca vaccine, the risk of death from thrombotic and thrombocytopenic syndrome is 1 in a million. So it is low compared to the others. So ischemic stroke can follow COVID-19 vaccination, but it is much more common than COVID-19 infection itself. So that was about AstraZeneca and the mRNA vaccines. When talking about the inactivated vaccines like Sinovac, Sinopharm, or the CanSino vaccines, which is an adenoviral vector-based vaccine, only minor side effects have been reported, which includes fatigability, dizziness, lethargy, and flu-like symptoms, while none of the major neurological complications have been reported so far. So we did a study at our institute, which was a retrospective observational study that evaluated the long-term side effects of these vaccines. And it was carried out over a period of around 3 to 4 months. And we included 12 patients with ischemic strokes that presented with a month of either receiving 1 dose of AstraZeneca or first or second dose of either Sinovac, Sinopharm, or CanSino vaccine. And we found out that 4 out of these 12 patients had cerebral venous sinus thrombosis, while 1 had a left basal ganglia bleed, and 7 patients presented with ischemic strokes. There was no mortality reported, and all of them had a good functional outcomes. So this is the data that we had of CVST after COVID vaccines. We had 4 patients with CVT. As you can see, most of these patients were male. There was no past medical history. There was no previous history of COVID. 2 of these patients received Sinovac. 1 presented after AstraZeneca and another 1 presented after Sinopharm. And most of them presented within a month of stroke. So one important thing, when we did the hypercoagulable workup, we found out that 3 of these patients has slightly elevated homocysteine levels. But again, these were very slightly elevated. Antiplatelet 4 antibody was not done due to the limited lab resources at the hospital, while there was no thrombocytopenia in any of the mentioned patients. So this is another chart. Basically, Sinopharm, 3 patients presented with ischemic stroke after Sinopharm, and 1 had a basal ganglia bleed. 3 again presented with ischemic stroke after Sinovac, and 1 presented with ischemic stroke after CanSino. And most of these were MC infarcts, and a few were posterior cerebral artery infarcts. And none of these patients had any major pre-existing neurological conditions. So we excluded all those patients with significant pre-existing neurological conditions, like for example, any patient with AFib or a hypertensive bleed at presentation or a prior history of stroke. They were all excluded. We had a few limitations. First, the sample size was not enough. We just included 12 patients in our study. And secondly, we cannot really tell if the stroke was due to the diabetes and hypertension or if it was due to the vaccine. Because thus far, none of the studies, none of the data has been published on Sinovac or Sinopharm. None of the long-term data has been published. So we still need to do future studies. They're needed before we blame the vaccine as the sole culprit for causing these strokes. To conclude, platelets, platelet factor 4 antibody, fibrinogen D dimer should be checked in all patients with ischemic stroke post AstraZeneca vaccine. Any patient who comes to the clinic or emergency with headache post vaccine must be evaluated for CVST, and anti-platelet factor 4 antibodies should be checked in all of those patients along with platelet levels D dimer, as already mentioned. And the benefits of receiving COVID-19 vaccine far, far, far outweigh any risks, even for people under the age of 40 or with underlying health conditions which include stroke survivor. Thank you.